Let's start somewhere you might not expect. Your kitchen, specifically your spice rack. Because what if I told you that one of those little jars, saffron, might hold a powerful key to our grain health? It sounds a little out there, but this ancient remedy is being put to the ultimate scientific test.
I know, an antidepressant just sitting in your spice rack? It sounds like something from a movie. But a growing body of serious clinical research is putting this exact idea to the test. And the results? Well, they're pretty compelling. So let's dive in and take a closer look at the science.
So, you're probably asking, why saffron of all things? Well, to get that, we have to understand the huge problem scientists are trying to solve. You see, treating conditions like depression and Alzheimer's disease is still one of the biggest challenges in modern medicine.
And this really gets to the heart of it. Let's be clear, conventional treatments are an absolute lifeline for millions. They are effective, but they can be a real double-edged sword. We're talking about side effects that are tough to live with, a frustratingly long wait before they even start to work, and for some people, they just don't work well enough. This is the gap that researchers are desperately trying to fill.
Which brings us right back to saffron. Now, this isn't some new discovery, it's a very, very old one. But what is new is the level of scientific rigor that's being used to test it. Let's see how they're putting these ancient claims under a modern microscope.
For centuries, traditional medicine all over the world has used saffron for all kinds of things, from lifting moods to helping with heart issues. It's deeply woven into many cultures. But, stories and tradition aren't enough for modern medicine. To be taken seriously, it has to pass the ultimate test. And that test is their randomized controlled trial, or RCT for short. This is the gold standard. It's how we find out if a treatment really works because it's designed to get rid of any bias by comparing it against a fake pill or even the best drug we already have. This is the high bar that saffron had to clear.
So, first up, depression. Researchers set up studies to put saffron in a direct head-to-head competition with one of the most common antidepressants out there.
And this table just lays out the results perfectly. A 30 milligram dose of saffron every day, it worked significantly better than a placebo. But look at that last column. That's the mind blower. When they compared it directly to fluoxetine, a very common SSRI, saffron's effect was found to be comparable. Not better, not worse, comparable.
This quote from the research paper just sums it all up. The improvements were measured on a standard clinical scale for depression, and here's the kicker. There was no difference in the number of side effects between the saffron group and the group taking the standard drug. That is a really powerful finding.
Okay, so next, the researchers switched gears from mood to memory. They started exploring if saffron had any potential when it comes to the cognitive decline we see in Alzheimer's disease.
And what do you know? We see a very similar story playing out here. That same 30 milligrams of saffron a day led to significant improvements on cognitive tests compared to a placebo. And when they put it up against donepezil, a standard medication for Alzheimer's, the studies found saffron to be non-inferior. Now that's just science talk for it worked just as well.
But here is where things got even more interesting. In these studies on cognition, patients taking saffron actually reported fewer side effects, especially stomach issues, than the people taking the conventional drug. Working just as well is one thing, but being easier to tolerate, that's a huge potential advantage.
And these weren't just quick, one-off studies. These trials ran for a pretty long time. They saw significant effects at 16 weeks, those effects held steady at 22 weeks, and in the longest trial they looked at, the benefits were sustained for a full year. That shows some real staying power.
So after looking at all these different trials for both mood and memory, what's the big picture? What's the overall takeaway from all this science so far? Well, when scientists combine the results of a bunch of high-quality studies, it's called a meta-analysis. The conclusions get even stronger. And in saffron's case, the results are super consistent. It works better than a placebo, it appears to be just as effective as the standard drugs it was tested against, and critically, it seems to have a fantastic safety profile with no serious problems reported.
It all sounds incredibly promising, right? But, and you knew a but was coming, this is science after all, we have to be cautious. Before we can call this a breakthrough, we absolutely have to talk about the limitations.
And here's the reality check. While these studies are so positive, they're still on the smaller side. To really confirm all this, we need much, much bigger trials at hospitals all over the world. We also need to develop a standardized saffron extract so we know every single patient is getting the exact same product and dose. Because of all that, we just don't have enough evidence for doctors to recommend it widely, yet.
Which leaves us with this spinal thought. The research on saffron is such a cool example of modern science taking ancient wisdom seriously. And while it's not quite ready to be prescribed, it really does make you wonder, what other amazing remedies are just waiting to be rediscovered, maybe hiding in plain sight?